Do you remember the first time you were told you couldn't do something because you were a woman? I do. It was 1989. I was barely a teenager, and there were a group of adults in my community who told me, in no uncertain terms, that regardless of my acumen or my interest, there was something that I wanted to do that I could not do. Now, I don't think I had ever been told in my life in that way from other people in my community that I couldn't do something, and I remember my gut was twisting. My smoke was coming out of my ears. My brain was on fire. And I never wanted to feel that way ever again. Now, from the reception you just gave me to that question, I know that this happens to women and girls all of the time. And it happens in extraordinarily insidious ways. I believe that one of the worst ways that this gets used against women is how it tells them they cannot be entrepreneurs. That's probably not what you thought I was going to say, right? The thing is about entrepreneurship is that it's not a small thing. It is the thing. In fact, to me, it is the key to women's political, economic, and social equality. And I say this as somebody who has studied and tried all of the other sectors. I promise you, I have a degree in public administration because I thought surely policy and politics was going to be the answer to women's equality. Well, maybe it will be someday, but I certainly don't have the patience to wait around for that to happen. So then I thought, oh, it's the nonprofit sector. Surely we're going to have philanthropy that is going to inject all of this knowledge and cash into women's equality. And I tried that too, and I found that as much as there is a place for philanthropy in our world, it often reifies the thing that it's trying to fix. So then I thought, well, could it be for-profit business? No, couldn't be that, right? I mean, corporations were built on the backs of women's unpaid labor. Corporations are bastions of white supremacy and patriarchy. Could it possibly be that for-profit business was the answer? And then I kind of had this aha moment, which was, Allie, corporations are not the only way to be in for-profit business. And let's get real. We live in an economy that's rooted in capitalism. And when you live in a capitalist society, power comes from money. And as we all know, you don't get rich working for somebody else. Now, here's the thing about power and money and entrepreneurship. All three of these things fly in the face of what many girls and women are taught they should be based on their gender. Now, this whole idea about a gender, for me, it is a story. Gender, to me, is a story you were told about yourself that actually has absolutely nothing to do with who you are. It has nothing to do with your power. It has nothing to do with your potential. It has nothing to do with your prowess. And so what I would like for you to think about right now is that gendered story that you were told. Remember that just because you may hear it in your head doesn't mean that it came from you. Something I learned really powerful from Sonia Renee Taylor in the book, The Body is Not an Apology, The Power of Radical Self-Love. Do not confuse where you hear that story with its origin. So, we have this gendered story about girls and women. And there are three ways that I see in my work with women entrepreneurs how it impacts on their ability to be successful. So, the first is, to be a successful entrepreneur, you need to play your own game. However, as girls and women, we are taught, look around at what everybody else is doing. You know, those wonderful best practices. Look at how everybody else has done it, right? You can iterate on what they're doing, but really, are you the person who's going to come up with that new idea? You know, the whole COO to the CEO. But we need to play our own game and not get caught up in the best practices. Instead, we need to look at the things that work for us. We need to trust our heads, our hearts, and our guts, and make decisions that work for us, our best practices. The second way that gender socialization gets in the way of women being successful entrepreneurs is that it tells us that we need to value safety and security over calculated risk-taking. It tells us that we need to watch out for danger rather than look out for opportunity. As entrepreneurs, we need to be looking out for that opportunity. We need to take calculated risks. The third way that traditional gender socialization gets in our way of being successful entrepreneurs is that it tells us that we should be selfless, right? That we should be taking care of everybody else and we should center their needs. But what we need to do as successful entrepreneurs is center ourselves in the narrative of our businesses. We need to make sure that as we're busy working on that business mission statement, we're also working on that personal mission statement and making sure that they align. Because the last thing that we want is, as she says in Freedom is an Inside Job, the crown on our head and the shackles around our feet. We do not want to create something that everybody else loves and we don't. So, knowing that we have this narrative that gets in the way of our success, what can we do? Well, I hope I've convinced you quickly that gender is a story that actually has nothing to do with us. And I liken that story to a backpack full of very heavy rocks. If you think about wearing that backpack, you're going to bow forwards, and you're not going to be able to move as quickly or as swiftly as you'd want. So what I'd love for you to do is to think about taking that backpack off, unzipping it, and looking inside. And you're thinking, wow, there are all of these rocks here, but you know what? I mistakenly thought they were mine to carry, and they're not. So as you remove those rocks, side note, as women remove our rocks, please move them to the side and not put them in front of another woman. So we are going to remove our rocks, and instead of having rocks, we now have an empty vessel within which to put all the things we do need and we should have to be successful. It's our community. It's other entrepreneurs. It's our learning. It's the books we read. It is all of the things that we need in that bag. Now, I'm telling you, there's no compass in that bag, because truly, when you become an entrepreneur, you need to follow your own way. There isn't going to be a path that somebody else forged. There isn't going to be a right or wrong way to do it. So you have to have everything in that bag that you need to find your own way. You're going to zip that bag. You're going to put it on your back. You're going to stand up straight. And you're going to launch your entrepreneurial journey. I, for one, cannot wait to see where it takes you. Thank you.